Just over a year later, a new family moved in, only to flee in terror just 28 days later, claiming they were tormented by an unspeakable evil. Was it a haunting, a hoax, or something far worse? On a cold November night in 1974, 6 members of a family were found murdered in their beds, shot execution style inside a quiet suburban home in Amityville, New York. Just over on a cold November on a cold November night in 1974, 6 members of a family were found by execution style as they slept inside a quiet suburban home in Amityville, New York. Just new family moved in, only to flee in terror just 28 days later, claiming they were tormented by an unspeakable evil. Was it a haunting, a hoax, or something far worse? Tonight, we uncover the bloody past, the terrifying events, and the chilling conspiracy that still haunts the house at 112 Ocean Avenue. Welcome to the Amityville Hoarder. And beware, this story is not for the faint of heart. Before the haunting, there was the massacre. On November 13, 1974, 23-year-old calmly walked into a bar in Amityville and declared, "I think my mother and father are shot." When police arrived at 112 Ocean Avenue, they discovered a horrifying scene. 6 bodies, mother, father, and 4 siblings, lay face down in their beds. Each had been shot with a high-powered .35 caliber Marlin rifle. On a cold November night in 1974, 6 members of a family were found murdered in their beds, shot execution style as they slept inside a quiet suburban home in Amityville, New York. Just over a year later, a new family moved in, only to flee in terror just 28 days later, claiming they were tormented by an unspeakable evil. Was it a haunting, a hoax, or something far worse? Tonight, we uncover the bloody past, the terrifying events, and the chilling conspiracy that still haunts the house at 112 Ocean Avenue. Welcome to the Amityville Hoarder. And beware, this story is not for the faint of heart. Before the haunting, there was the massacre. On November 13, 1974, 23-year-old Ronald Butch DeFeo Jr. calmly walked into a bar in Amityville and declared, "I think my mother and father are shot." When police arrived at the crime scene, 6 bodies, mother, father, and 4 siblings lay face down in their beds. Each had been shot with a high-powered .35 caliber Marlin rifle. None had moved. No neighbors heard screams. DeFeo was arrested and eventually confessed. Once I started, I just couldn't stop. It went so fast. But he would later change his story many times, blaming voices in the house, a mob hit, even his sister. To this day, the motive remains a mystery. In December 1975, George and Kathy Lutz bought the DeFeo home at a bargain price of $80,000. They moved in with Kathy's 3 children from a previous marriage. They knew what had happened there, but claimed they weren't afraid. That changed quickly. From the very first night, strange things began to happen. Doors slammed on their own. Windows opened, then froze shut. Unseen forces dragged George from his bed. Green slime oozed from the walls. Kathy levitated above the mattress. A demonic pig-like creature with glowing red eyes stared through the windows. Their dog refused to go near certain rooms. The temperature in the house dropped suddenly, even when the furnace roared. After 28 days, they abandoned the house, leaving all their possessions behind. They never returned. Desperate, the Lutzes called in Father Ray Pecoraro, a Catholic priest, to bless the house. He barely stepped into one bedroom before hearing a deep, menacing voice say, "Get out." He obeyed. Later, renowned paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren visited the property. Ed said there's a very strong demonic presence in that home. Lorraine, a psychic medium, felt overwhelmed by a dark force. "I hope this is as close to hell as I ever get." The Warrens conducted a seance in the house. One photographer claimed to capture the ghost of a young boy peering from a doorway, widely believed to be one of the murdered DeFeo children. Skeptics called it a hoax. Believers called it proof. The deeper you go into the Lutz's story, the stranger it gets. George Lutz began waking up every night at 3:15 a.m., the exact time of the DeFeo murders. He grew obsessed with the fireplace, chopping wood constantly, even sleeping in front of it. Kathy experienced bruises and strange dreams, often of the murders. One night she claimed to transform into an old hag in the mirror. Flies infested one room in the dead of winter. Their youngest daughter, Missy, spoke to an imaginary friend named Jody, who she described as a pig with glowing eyes. Jody told Missy, "You'll live here forever." The Lutzes believed the house was changing them, breaking them down, trying to keep them. After fleeing the house, the Lutzes told their story to author Jay Anson, who turned it into the best-selling book, The Amityville Horror, A True Story, in 1977. It sold over 10 million copies. 2 years later, the film adaptation hit theaters, terrifying audiences and raking in millions. The Amityville house became the most famous haunted house in America. But fame came with scrutiny. Investigators began picking apart the Lutz's claims. Neighbors said they saw no strange activity. Documents proved some incidents, like slime and broken windows, had no evidence. Still, George and Kathy swore their story was true until their deaths. Over the years, many investigators have called the Amityville haunting a hoax. In 1979, attorney William Weber, who had represented Ronald DeFeo, admitted, We created this horror story over many bottles of wine. He claimed it was a scheme to gain money and book deals. Even forensic analysis showed that the DeFeo murders couldn't have happened the way Ronald claimed. But here's where it gets darker. Some self feeds restores the evil alive. And we invite it. So what is the truth? A brilliant things to all who dare enter. The house modeled, renamed, but its reputation remains. Some say it's quiet now. It just waits in the walls, in the shadows, for you to believe. But sometimes the most terrifying happens in the dark. It's what follows you back into the light. If this story chilled you to the bone, hit like, subscribe, and comment below. Do you think the Amityville horror was real? And whatever you do, don't look behind you. Midnight. The Virginia woods are silent. The only sound is the crunch of leaves underfoot and the distant hum of the highway. You've walked down this desolate road for what feels like hours. Your flashlight beam cutting through a fog so thick it clings to your skin like cobwebs. Ahead, the shadow of a bridge looms in the distance. A squat concrete ocean daylight, but right now it feels like a gateway. They call it the Colchester Overpass, but to locals, it has another name, the Bunnyman Bridge. They say if you're here at the stroke of midnight, especially on Halloween, you might see him. A figure standing in the shadows. A man in a ragged white bunny suit holding an axe. Sometimes he glares at you with glowing eyes. Sometimes he just stands there. But if you stay too long, if you dare him, he'll lunge. This is no child's campfire tale. This legend has roots in real events, reports from police files, witness testimony, newspaper clippings that prove something happened here. But like all legends, it grew darker, stranger, and far more terrifying as the decades passed. The Bunnyman is more than just a story. He's become a symbol of everything that makes urban legends endure. The blurred line between fact and fiction. The comfort of the familiar twisted into horror. And the terrible, gnawing feeling that someone or something is always watching. Tonight, we'll dig into the chilling true crime origins of the Bunnyman. We'll unravel how two real events in 1970 spiraled into one of America's most enduring urban legends, and we'll explore why this particular story, of all things, a man in a bunny costume, has haunted Virginia for over 50 years. So grab your flashlight, Step carefully, and whatever you do, don't look too long in the shadows beneath the bridge. The story begins not in whispers or ghostly sightings, but in cold police reports. In October of 1970, Fairfax County, Virginia was an unassuming suburban community. The Vietnam War dominated headlines, not local folklore. But all of that changed on the night of October the 18th. Air Force Academy cadet Robert Bennett and his fiancée were driving home from a football game. It was close to midnight when they pulled off on a dark stretch of Guinea Road, just outside of Fairfax. They parked near a dimly lit field, the kind of secluded spot young couples have always used for stolen moments of privacy. But that night, their privacy was violently interrupted. According to Bennett, out of nowhere, a man dressed in a full white bunny suit appeared. He wasn't the jolly Easter bunny figure you'd see at a mall. This was something ragged, sinister, and in his hands, he carried an axe. The bunny man screamed at them words like, "You're on private property, and get off or I'll kill you." Bennett barely had time to react before the figure swung the axe, shattering the car's front window. Terrified, the couple sped away, leaving shards of glass behind on the empty road. They reported the incident immediately to the police. Fairfax County officers took the report seriously, filing it as a case of vandalism and assault. Bennett gave a statement. His fiancée confirmed every detail. Both insisted this was no prankster. Whoever they saw meant business. But the story didn't end there. 11 days later, on October 29th, another man came forward. This time it was Paul Phillips, a private security guard patrolling a construction site in Kings Park West, just a few miles away. Around 10:30 p.m., he spotted a man standing on the front porch of an unfinished house. Phillips approached thinking it might be a trespasser. That's when he saw it. The figure was again dressed in a bunny costume. The man held a long-handled axe and was chopping at a porch railing. Phillips called out, demanding to know what he was doing. The bunny man turned to him and shouted, "All you people trespass around here. If you don't get out of here, I'm going to bust you in the head." Phillips said the man then began hacking more violently at the porch before eventually disappearing into the darkness of the woods. Two different incidents, two different witnesses, both reporting a man in a bunny suit wielding an axe. The Fairfax County Police opened an investigation. Deputies combed the woods. They interviewed residents. Newspaper articles ran with sensational headlines like "The Bunny Man Strikes Again." But the suspect was never caught. The police eventually closed the case, filing it under unsolved vandalism. No arrest, no names, just a trail of shattered glass, chopped wood, and fear. The official story ends there, but for the people of Fairfax County, the legend was only just the beginning. When the police dropped the investigation, Fairfax County residents picked it up in another form: folklore. At first it was just a local scare story. The madman in the bunny suit. Parents warned kids not to wander too far at night. Teenagers dared each other to go looking for him. But as the years passed, the tale grew stranger. The bunny man wasn't just a vandal anymore. He became something far darker. One version of the story begins decades later with a supposed asylum in the Virginia countryside. According to the tale, the asylum was closed, and its inmates were transferred by bus to another facility. But one night, a bus crashed near Fairfax Station. Guards rounded up most of the escapees, except one. This man, the legend claims, disappeared into the woods. Locals began finding the skinned carcasses of rabbits hanging from trees and nailed to the Colchester overpass. The missing inmate was eating the rabbits to survive, but it didn't stop there. Eventually, he turned to people. The bridge became his hunting ground. Other versions of the story say the Bunny Man is a ghost, the spirit of the asylum escapee, doomed to forever haunt the bridge where he took his victims. Still others insist he was a farmer who snapped after discovering his land being developed, and he wore the bunny suit as some twisted disguise while seeking revenge. The legend spread like wildfire in the 80s and 90s, whispered at sleepovers and told during Halloween hayrides. And always the stories pointed to one location, the Colchester Overpass. It wasn't long before the overpass was christened with its new name, Bunny Man Bridge. By the 1990s, Bunny Man Bridge had become more than a story. It was a rite of passage. High school students in Fairfax County dared each other to go there at midnight, especially on Halloween. Some claimed to see a figure waiting in the shadows. Others reported hearing footsteps behind them or whispers in the fog. Police grew frustrated. They were called to the bridge year after year, breaking up gatherings of thrill seekers. In 2001, Fairfax County officials issued warnings reminding the public that trespassing at the bridge was illegal. But that only fueled the legend. Ghost hunters and paranormal investigators soon joined in, bringing cameras, recorders, and night vision equipment. The bridge became an apparent magnet for urban explorers, YouTubers, and true believers. Whether you went to the bridge looking for thrills or truth, one thing remained the same. Why does the Bunny Man scare us so much? On paper, it sounds almost silly. A man in a bunny costume. But that's exactly what makes it terrifying. The costume is supposed to be harmless, safe, childlike. By corrupting that innocence, the legend taps into something deeply unsettling. Psychologists call it the uncanny valley, something that is almost human, but not quite. Masks, costumes, and distorted animals all fall into this category. They unsettle us because they blur the lines of identity. Who is beneath the mask? And why won't they show their face? There's also the axe. And brutal. Combined with the bunny suit, it creates a jarring contrast fused with violence. And finally, there's the setting. A lonely wooded bridge. The perfect backdrop for fear, where your senses betray you and shadows seem alive. The Bunny Man legend survives because it weaponizes innocence. It takes the familiar, a rabbit, a holiday costume, and turns it into a nightmare. Even now, reports continue. Some locals claim to see glowing eyes beneath the bridge. Others hear the sound of an axe dragging against concrete. Paranormal investigators record static bursts, whispers, and unexplained EMF spikes at the site. Skeptics dismiss it all as overactive imagination, but believers insist the Bunny Man never left. So what was the Bunny Man? A real man who terrorized couples in 1970? A phantom born from the asylum tales? Or something far stranger? A legend that feeds on fear itself. Truth may never be known, but the one thing is certain. The Colchester overpass is no ordinary bridge. Go there at midnight and you'll feel it. The weight of decades of fear, the echoes of axe strikes, the unsettling possibility that someone or something is still waiting in the shadows. Would you dare cross Bunnyman Bridge on Halloween night? If you enjoyed exploring this dark piece of American folklore, make sure to subscribe, because the Bunnyman isn't the only legend lurking in the woods. And next time, it might not be just a story. Every year, hundreds of people arrive at the base of the world's tallest mountain. Some come seeking adventure. Some come seeking glory. They pay tens of thousands of dollars for what many believe is the ultimate human achievement. But the mountain doesn't care about money, and for some, the price is life itself. Behind every summit photo stands a line of invisible labor. Faces no one remembers, risks no one sees. As climbers ascend, paying for guidance, oxygen, and the illusion of mastery, the true story unfolds elsewhere, in the shadowed pass, on icy ridges, where Sherpas risk everything so that others may claim glory. This is the untold ritual of Everest, a spectacle of ambition, hubris, and hidden cost. This is Everest, the ultimate status ritual. Everest has changed. Once the domain of elite mountaineers, it is now a destination for the wealthy. Permits alone can cost $11,000 to $45,000, and full expedition packages often exceed $100,000. Climbers who might never have summited a 6,000 meter peak can pay to reach the top of the world. The mountain becomes a stage where privilege is celebrated, not earned. Yet even with money, the climb is dangerous. Delays in the death zone, traffic jams, and unpredictable weather still claim lives. Money buys guidance. It buys oxygen. It buys experience vicariously, but it does not buy survival. Sherpas are the unsung backbone. They fix ropes and ladders in the most dangerous zones, carry extreme loads, and make multiple rotations through avalanche-prone areas. Many climbers reach the summit because Sherpas went first, laying the path that keeps them alive. Yet these men assume disproportionate risk for a fraction of the expedition cost. Death and injury are a constant reality. To understand Everest, you must understand the invisible labor that makes it possible. Without the Sherpas, these rituals of wealth and glory could not exist. Climbers often push beyond reason due to summit fever, the desire to reach the top, to post the photo, to prove something, or simply justify the expense, overrides common sense. This ritual obsession mirrors ancient rites. The willing participant risks life to achieve status. The mountain does not negotiate. It waits patiently for those whose ambition surpasses prudence. Even with technology, guides, and Sherpas, people still die. Everest punishes hubris, altitude, cold, exhaustion, avalanches. None of these respond to wealth or privilege. It is indifferent. It is eternal. Deaths are not rare. Bodies are left as grim markers along the route. The ritual continues each season, each climb, each death, for the sake of a photograph and a story of achievement. Everest has become a modern rite of passage for the wealthy. Luxury tents at base camp, helicopter drops for rescue, guides navigating every step. The ritual mirrors historical wealth, courage, and status performed publicly. But the horror lies in outsourcing courage and risk. Climbers pay for the appearance of mastery. Sherpas bear the reality. This is the mountain's cruel lesson. Status achieved through privilege is fleeting, and mortality is impartial. The mountain remembers. Bodies abandoned, equipment, trails of footsteps, all silent witnesses to ambition. Sherpas, guides, and the mountain itself observe rituals performed year after year. These silent observers carry the mortal weight of the human theater on Everest. Each summit photograph is built upon unseen labor, risk, and loss. Climbers descend triumphant. Photos are posted. Stories are told. Meanwhile, Sherpas pack, repair, and risk their lives again. The mountain remains unchanged. The ritual continues. And the imbalance between ambition and labor lingers like a ghost. Everest is more than a mountain. It is a stage, a mirror, a test. But the true horror is not the altitude or cold. It is the human heart, seeking status, outsourcing courage, and ignoring the cost. Mount Everest does not care who you are or how much you're paid. It waits and it watches. Every photograph at the summit has a shadow behind it. Some shadows are made of snow, others of blood. Like, share, subscribe, and have a great night. They say evil can take many forms, but some of it comes in the most innocent shapes. A child's toy, a gift meant to bring joy. But what if that toy is not just a toy? What if it watches, waits, and harbors a darkness beyond understanding? This is the story of Annabelle, a doll that has terrified the living, haunted the innocent, and has been the focus of some of the most chilling investigations in modern paranormal history. For over 4 decades, Annabelle has been said to move on her own, leave messages, and even attack. And the truth is far more disturbing than fiction. The story begins in the early 1970s, when a nursing student named Donna received a simple Raggedy Ann doll from her mother. It was cheerful, innocent, until strange things began to happen. Donna and her roommate Angie reported that the doll seemed to move on its own. Notes began appearing, scrawled with childish handwriting. "Help us," they would say. At first they laughed it off, but then the scratches appeared. The furniture moved. The feeling of being watched, it became unbearable. Fearing they were losing their minds, the roommates sought help. They called in two of the most famous paranormal investigators of the time, Ed and Lorraine Warren. The couple, known for documenting hauntings and demonic activity, took the case seriously. They would later claim that the doll was being manipulated by a powerful, malevolent spirit, something that fed off fear, and perhaps something far worse. As days turned into weeks, the doll's activity escalated. Witnesses reported seeing her in different rooms, despite being left alone. Doors would slam, objects flew off shelves, and the messages, they became more sinister. The Warrens documented a chilling event one night. Donna awoke to see the doll perched at the end of her bed, its head tilted, watching. When she attempted to confront it, she claimed she was pushed across the room by an unseen force. The paranormal activity didn't stop there. Friends visiting the apartment reported feelings of dread, cold spots, and whispers that seemed to come from nowhere. Photographs taken of the doll often captured strange orbs and shadows, unexplainable by natural phenomena. For the Warrens, this was no ordinary haunting. They believed the doll was being used as a conduit by a demonic entity, a spirit feeding off the fear and vulnerability of the young women. The Warrens took possession of Annabelle, determined to prevent further harm. They claimed the doll was possessed by a demonic spirit, a force so malevolent that it could manipulate objects, frighten witnesses, and even physically attack if provoked. It was placed in a locked glass case, with warnings carved into wood warning, "Positively do not open." They claimed that the doll, though inanimate, still sought freedom, and that the energy surrounding her was palpable, even from behind the glass. The Warrens' records include detailed accounts of exorcisms, blessing, and prayers performed over the doll. Some investigators reported that even these measures could not fully contain the spirit. Annabelle's malevolence seemed persistent, patient, waiting for the right moment to strike. What makes Annabelle truly terrifying is not just the physical movement, but the intent behind it. The Warrens warned that this was no simple haunting. This was a demon with purpose. Some paranormal theorists suggest that the doll serves as a beacon, a doorway through which spirits can influence the living. Stories abound of visitors to the museum feeling a sudden chill, hearing whispers, or seeing the doll's head tilt in impossible directions. Imagine being alone, walking past a locked display, and feeling as though the doll's eyes are following you. The boundaries between object and entity blur. Is the evil in the doll, or in the spirit inhabiting it? The Warrens' files include one particularly chilling account. A visitor reportedly attempted to take a photo. When developed, the photo showed not only the doll, but a dark, shadowy figure looming behind it. The figure was invisible to the naked eye. Some speculate, if Annabelle were ever removed from containment, what might follow? How far would the entity go? How much fear could it harvest before it moves on to something else? Annabelle's story has transcended the private walls of the Warrens Museum. She inspired movies, countless documentaries, and a cultural fascination with cursed objects. Yet, beyond the silver screen, Her legend continues to grow. Paranormal communities warn, do not tempt evil. Curiosity, they say, is the very thing that draws it in. Visitors to the museum describe the same feeling that haunted Donna and Angie decades ago. A presence that is waiting, watching, calculating. Annabelle has become more than a story. She's a warning, a testament to dangers that lurk when the innocent becomes a vessel of the malevolent. And that question is you right now, somewhere just beyond the shadows. Some say curiosity is a dangerous thing. Some say evil can be patient, waiting decades, centuries, until it finds you. Annabelle is more than just a doll. She is a warning. She is what happens when darkness takes form in the most unexpected places. So when the lights dim tonight and the shadows creep across your room, remember, some things are better left alone. And if you enjoyed this dark subject, like, subscribe, and share, and have a great night.